Wingardium Leviosa! It's Leviosa!
Welcome to Drawing Conclusions. I'm Jessica.
And I am Joss.
No, you're not. Joss Whedon? Is that you?
You do need glasses, and I need to learn how to talk better. Okay, that's stupid.
No, what's your name?
My name's Josh.
Yeah, Josh. Shh. Not Joss. There's no Joss.
All right.
Anyway, but today we are reviewing Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald.
You're very crimey.
Crimes. Anyway, so...
She did the mustache finger thing on her nose, dude.
Yeah. So, Josh, what did you think of this movie?
I think for the most part, I liked it. However, there were some drawbacks. I think there are too many subplots trying to push this thing forward. And it kind of pulled focus in too many different directions. And it just kind of ended up not really being about any one main topic. It was just too much.
Right.
A lot of bloat. And
Yes.
I think the main characters, because the original, the previous movie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I really liked that movie a lot.
Yeah.
I thought the characters were cool. I thought the actors and actresses had great chemistry. And it was a really fun movie and interesting, entertaining, and set up what I thought would be a really great follow-up.
Right.
But, you know, for me it was only kind of so-so.
Right.
And I just think like, Eddie Redmayne and Dan Fogler, Catherine Waterston, and the other actress whose name I can't remember at the top of my head, plays Queenie. They didn't give a whole lot to do together. I mean, it's not so bad that they're separated. I mean, other movies have done that with main characters where they're separated throughout most of the show. But this one, it just seemed like there was no main character this story was being told through.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
How about you?
No, I mean, I echo a lot of those sentiments, except for I did not enjoy this movie for the most part. For the most part, this movie made me frustrated. I was bored quite frequently throughout the movie. I felt like it was too long, and it dragged on for me.
Yes.
And
And that's a funny thing. It being too long and not adequately explaining these stories.
And the thing is,
plot
like,
threads.
for this kind of movie, it really wasn't that long, but it just felt long.
Yes.
And then I was sometimes confused. It was a confusing, convoluted story.
Right.
Too many characters. No true focal point of the story.
Well, and there was a lot of characters introduced that just really weren't that important.
Right.
And they spent way too much time on them.
Right. So it was like J.K. Rowling, I said this in our podcast too, that it was like she was trying to stuff this 800-page book into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
And
all
of those people, including myself, who've complained about the way the Harry Potter movies turned out and how they cut this character and that character and this subplot, whatever. It's like, I take it all back and I understand it's like why the producers and writers and directors of those movies did what they did with Harry Potter, which is like they stripped out everything that wasn't about Harry because the movies needed to have a focal character. Right? The story was really about him and it needed to follow his story. And I think that is the number one problem with this movie is that the movie is not about Newt Scamander.
Nope.
It's not about Grindelwald. It's not about Dumbledore. It's not about Credence. It's not about any of them. It's about all of them.
Yeah, and it just, unfortunately, like...
It's not about Queenie. It's not about Jacob. It's not about... I mean, it's just like...
Yeah, Tina,
It's not about Lila Lestrange. It's about everybody. It's like everybody. And you can't have a movie that's about everybody.
Mm-mm. No, it's just, it gets bogged down in its own weight. And
Right.
It fails. There's just some stuff in it that they allude to.
Right.
That is supposed to be pretty important. But they don't give it enough light to make it important.
Right. And the thing is, like, you look at a movie, like you talked about, there are other movies where, like, the main characters have divided up.
Empire Strikes Back for one.
That's immediately the one that I thought of was Empire Strikes Back. But what they did in that movie is there's a story about Luke, and then there's what's going on with Leia and Han.
And the rest of them.
And those are the those are the two threads you follow throughout the whole entire film.
Right.
What's going on with Luke and what's going on with Leia and Han. And this is like you just jump from character to character, from storyline to storyline, and nothing's explained very well. And it's like, I think this would have been a fantastic book.
Yeah, well,
that was 800 pages long.
I think it could have been a fantastic movie had they cut out a number of these subplots. I mean, to give an idea of what we were talking about, like splitting up characters, like what they do with this movie is, like, for instance, we talked about Empire Strikes Back, taking the two main story arcs in that one, what's going on with Luke and R2 and all that, his story, and then the other three, Han, Chewie, and Leia and C-3PO, right, and then just throwing in like, oh, here's what the Rebel Alliance is also up to. It's like, no one cares,
right?
There's a bunch of stuff in this movie. It's like who cares? They're not relevant,
right?
And it's like, okay, if they become relevant in another movie, you could have introduced them as a side character and given them like something keen to do that was big, and then they're kind of pushed to the side, something like that. But even then, that would still probably be too much. It just, they didn't need it. There was so much that they just did not need.
Well, and in this movie, she does, the script does eventually tie all these threads back together in a way. Yeah. But it's still not satisfying. It's not a good payoff because the setup wasn't good.
No.
And
the setup is very vague.
And there's just not enough development for any of those. It's like they took, what would have developed over 10 chapters of a book and tried to condense it into a 5-minute story, or a 5-minute set piece in this movie. And it's like, you just can't do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
there were upsides for me in this movie, though.
Sure. But I mean, before we get off that topic, I think there are so many subplots. They probably could have had 2 to 3 movies just based off of what they had jammed into this thing.
Right.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah, because there's not enough groundwork and foundation to some of the stuff that happens in this movie. So, I mean, the positives for this movie is I thought the performances were all really good.
Yes.
Even though so many of the actors were not given enough to do with their characters, they still performed well, and I was pleasantly, not surprised, but just I was satisfied to see that Johnny Depp was the good actor Johnny Depp in this movie rather than the over-the-top character actor Johnny Depp. It felt like it was a really restrained performance.
Yeah, he was
as
very
Grindelwald,
good.
And I thought he did a really, really good job.
Yeah.
Jude Law, the way that he portrayed Dumbledore and the way that it was written was kind of disappointing, though. I did not see a lot of connection between Dumbledore as a young man and who Dumbledore is later that when you see him in the Harry Potter universe.
Well, he was another one of those kind of like superfluous characters.
Right. Well, but I mean, was there anything about his character in that movie that you thought, oh yeah, that's Dumbledore. That's just how Dumbledore would act and behave and talk. And I mean, all that like twinkle in his eye and quirkiness and everything about Dumbledore that kind of makes him so distinct and unique as a character. You didn't see any of it. It was like Jude Law was just too cool for school and he's just like always kicking back and like leaning. And I mean, it was just like, no.
Yeah, but maybe he hadn't arrived at that kind of person yet.
But you should see hints of it. I mean,
you should.
People's mannerisms don't change over time.
That's true.
Like there's speech patterns.
I don't. I think, I think Jude Law is a fine actor and could have lent some real goodness to the character of Dumbledore. But him, like many of the other characters in the movie, were not given enough screen time to fully flesh them out.
I'm not saying it's necessarily Jude Law's fault. I don't like the way that they wrote Dumbledore in the movie. I mean, except there is this aspect of Dumbledore's character that I think is true to him. But for the most part, it was just like,
no, I agree.
There's nothing recognizable about Dumbledore in this movie, which is like, it's supposed to be like this great nod to all these Harry Potter fans. It's like Dumbledore's in there. And then it's like he's not, you wouldn't even really recognize him as Dumbledore. Anyway, but I was supposed to be talking about things I liked about the movie.
Yeah,
sorry.
You ventured away. Well, I did like the visuals in the movie. I thought they were really great. The opening sequence was really quite nice. A really great hook.
Yes, oh yeah.
A really great hook to start the show.
Right.
And it kind of meandered from there.
Right.
But yeah, I think a lot of the characters were really just kind of given the shaft as far as like what they were able to do. Like Catherine Waterston was virtually not in the show.
Right. Yeah,
which sucks because I liked her in the first movie.
Yes.
And Dan Fogler didn't have a whole lot to do. He was just kind of there.
Right.
I wish I could remember the actress name who plays Queenie. She had a little bit, but then
But I didn't like what they did with her character at all, and it felt really out of character, and it happened so quickly, and yes.
It felt forced.
So much of my issue with this movie too is not just like there were all these subplots, but then I felt like it was like there was a twist, and then there's another twist, and another twist, and here's another twist, and it was like they were just twists to be there for the sake of being twists.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm gonna just surprise the audience with aha!
Surprise again! Aha! You thought this was how it was.
Like there should be some foundation for the twist. You should be putting clues in there and building to things over. You know,
not enough foreshadowing.
You shouldn't just have twists that are like. It shouldn't. They can sometimes feel like they're out of nowhere, but then when the person goes back and thinks at the movie, they should realize they're not really out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, because there should be some basis in the story for what just happened. And I feel like there were too many things, especially this twist at the end. Minor spoiler there.
Yeah.
But
that was like way out of left field. It's like what?
Yeah.
And it was so unimpactful.
Right.
I was like
okay.
Okay then. I mean, it's supposed to be like, oh, big reveal. It's like.
No. I was just annoyed at that point. I really was like, I couldn't wait for that movie to end.
Well, I think the problem with that one is like there's no foundation for that to even be a thing.
Right. No.
You know, if you see the movie, you'll know what we're talking about. And if you listen to our podcast that does have spoilers, then you'll definitely know what we're talking about. But yeah, it just like it had no foundation, no real build up, and it was kind of kicked to the side. It was again, it suffered from too many subplots.
Yeah.
You know, and like there are some things to like about this show. Not as many as I would like, but there are some.
Yeah. I mean, like you were saying, the visuals are really good. There's a really great opening sequence.
Yeah. And some of the performances are pretty good. You know, their shortness and duration notwithstanding.
But then there's some good imagination in there, like always. There's like some good imaginative characters and things with the world, and you know, like how they get into the secret parts of Paris and stuff, right? Like the secret wizarding parts are hidden from the rest of the individuals and stuff. I mean, there's stuff like that that's really cool, but it doesn't. None of that is enough to sustain the movie when the plot is so convoluted, so confusing, the characters underdeveloped.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. It was a gigantic disappointment for somebody who really loved the first Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. Yeah.
I also did not like. There were too many of these just like fan service nods to like other things in the Harry Potter universe.
Right.
And it's like you don't need that. We know it exists in that universe. Can't we just have this stuff kind of arrive organically or not at all?
Right.
You know, it's just kind of like, it was too much like fan service at parts that were just like really unnecessary.
Right. Well, if we go here, then we can see this character.
And
and here's another way to throw some character or something in from the books that'll make people excited and happy about the movie. It's like, just write a good story. That's what I want. I just want to see a good story.
I think this movie needed some real pushback from somebody on high to rein some of this stuff in and cut a lot of fat.
Yeah, I mean, I like J.K. Rowling. I love the Harry Potter books, and I love the first Fantastic Beasts where I find them. But I feel like this is a huge misstep, and I feel like it's mostly due to the script. I mean, I think
so.
And again, I felt like, and like with you, that there wasn't somebody who could edit it, and you know, or I mean, she's so powerful. Maybe maybe she's just like doesn't allow that. I don't know, but it needed some serious editing. Yeah,
it did. It needed to be trimmed a lot.
Yeah, and tightened up, and just like maybe we can get this to the same place without the 10 extra characters that you threw into this movie.
Oh, I think so. I mean, it rewrites something, have someone else go over it and look at it and say, this is a little long here.
Right.
This is great for a book, you know.
Right.
Anyway, overall, I think I would probably give this movie a 3.
Yeah.
Like, I did, for the most part, enjoy it. I did find, like, all those things we just talked about, definitely...
So a 3 out of 5.
A 3 out of 5, yes. Not a 3 out of 10 or anything like that. Or even a 3 out of 4. 3 out of 5. It's just okay. Yeah,
so the more I've thought about this movie, the more I have been annoyed by it. And disappointed, right? Because it's just so disappointing. I had high expectations. And so, I don't know. For me, I feel like it's more like a 2.5. I'm not sure it's even a 3. Like, I feel like a 3 is too generous. Because I just feel like... I mean, look, the production values are great, the acting's
Yes.
great, but I need a good story, and it wasn't.
Yes, because then all you're left with is fluff and no
Right.
substance.
So, yeah. Anyway, so that's it. Sorry to be so grim.
Yes. Oh, grim. Very nice. However, I did enjoy
Hilarious.
doing
Some
this
fan
picture
sense for you.
poster for the movie. So.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, so check us out on Patreon. That's where you can find our podcast. And if you're a patron, you get a discount on all of our Josh Barker art merchandise on his website.
Yep.
And you get exclusive first looks at the artwork that he's doing for all of our videos. And there's lots of other fun rewards on there. So check us out on Patreon. And of course, don't forget to
Like.
and comment
And share.
and subscribe.
Boom.
Thanks.